Megan Thee Stallion wants to, like when she plays Uno, she goes for blood. At one point I was like, wait, is Weird Al Yankovic about to cry right now? So it's
what an iconic sentence.
it gets very, very competitive.
Hey friends, it's Emily Curl. We're here at our iHeartRadio studios in New York City, and today we're hanging out with the legendary Questlove.
Hello.
Can we show some love for Questlove?
Where are those people?
The whole crew. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You're down in our iHeart studios, but you are fresh off the stage of our Summer Tuesdays, where it's an event we have at iHeart. You just spoke to our president of iHeart Podcast.
I feel like I made it.
Yeah, you're here.
I made it, yeah.
In conversation with Will Pearson, what was that experience like for you?
It was great. Normally, I tend to skewer to my comfort zone of my audience, like people that are my age. Because, I wrote this book, Hip Hop is History, kind of for everybody, but for me to get an audience of people younger than me is just as important as well. So, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
You have fans from all over. And speaking of the audience, it's kind of an intimate space. So what's it like for you to, be able to share your work in an intimate setting like that?
You know what? I think after the pandemic, especially how we had to adjust to newness, like if you recall in 2020, a great deal of how I spent that entire lockdown was DJing like 4 to 5 hours every night to no one dancing.
Oh my God.
And so it was almost like Tom Hanks in Castaway, like alone. At one point, I did have a Wilson. I did have a Wilson ball to I needed somebody to respond to me.
Ball, yeah.
But I think after 2020, I learned how to adjust to any situation and setting. But I enjoy that. The Roots actually, we did a show at the Superdome in New Orleans where I think the capacity is like 80,000 people. And yes, it seems nice in a bucket list way, like, hey, we played the Superdome for Essence Fest, but I prefer more intimate settings.
Oh, really?
More than my business manager does not prefer that. They'd rather I just
really crank it out.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I like more intimate settings.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's really wild because you really do it all. You have a podcast that we're going to get into. You're an author. You're a DJ, Academy Award-winning filmmaker, musician, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you keep equal enthusiasms for all of these areas? Does it ebb and flow? What does your creative journey look like?
Probably my first book, Mo Meta Blues, really explains my ethos, where I explain to people that I'm a curious creative. I'm trying not to say that too much as I do like press or whatever, because I don't want that to just be my go-to answer. There was a point where, when you have a passion, those first 5 years are like, oh my God, I can't wait. Even with school, like in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, I can't wait to get to school and play with my friends and, first day of school outfit and the excitement. And then, when you turn 20, 21, 20, it's like, I want to get out of bed. That was starting to become my routine once we got to the mountaintop of music, where we had struggled for so long to get to this place, and then we got to a place of comfort. And, I also know that when you're comfortable, that's the first signs of trouble, where you're just like, no big deal. And, once we really got comfortable, we stopped communicating with each other as a group. Oh, wow. We just not phoned it in from home, but
it became more routine. It was you knew what was going to happen.
We knew you could set your clock to it. And after 20 years of doing that, just being in the Roots, once you opened up the door to The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, suddenly I realized that it was my chance to start all over again in something new. But I still had the creative mind and experience from the Roots. And so for me, the one thing I didn't want to squander was the wonderment of learning something new. So I decided to multitask passions. So I have a passion for writing books. I have a passion for working in the food space, especially like new food technology, like plant-based stuff and whatnot. And I have a passion for teaching. I have a passion for design. So I've checked off many a bucket list in the last 10 years. And so I'm a curious creative.
But how do you do it all? Are you regimented in the way that you practice these things? Or do you wake up and it's like, today I feel inspired by this?
Okay, for example, in my new book, the opening chapter is telling the story of how I inadvertently agreed to handle the hip hop 50th anniversary tribute on the Grammys, which when things are presented to you and it's like months ahead of time, hey M, you want to do this project and and it's due like a year and a half from now. You're like, sure.
Absolutely.
And then when it gets down to crunch time, you're like,
this is a lot of work. This is a lot of
right. And so imagine doing that, but like for 9 things at once. And so I have a problem with saying yes. The thing is that they'll tend to crash into each other. So I have about 4 or 5 people that have a lot of gray hair in terms of traffic copping, like making sure that the lanes are clear. So I don't recommend this level of daredevil creativity to anyone. Like I'm choosing the things that I would do naturally if I did it for free. Which is a great thing to do.
Yeah, the natural flow.
It's such a passion that I coincidentally get paid for it. But I would DJ or make movies or do whatever for free. But I do think that now I'm in a place in my life where I'm getting acclimated with the word no, and I can't, and because I want to do normal things.
Saying no to the right things too, exactly.
Right. Because I want things like a social life and a family and date night and all those other things. I have to, be a human. So.
Well, one of the things we've got to talk about, of course, we're here at iHeart, is your podcast, Questlove Supreme, which is so popular. I know so many fans love it. For a fan who hasn't listened yet, how would you describe it to him?
I will say that we're more nuanced now that we're in like our 6th or 7th season. Yeah, our 7th season. If you start counting, then that's a sign of trouble. Like for me, it still feels like our 3rd year.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was a little more chaotic because I tend to fall into rabbit holing inside baseball things. Like I'll talk about really obscure things like, okay, so do you like a Newman microphone or do you like the Ribbon Royer microphone? Meanwhile, the listener at home's like, next channel. Right. So now I'm more aware of trying to find a commonality with the guests. And what I want people to get from every episode, because I know that a lot of musicians and a lot of creatives are listening. Oftentimes people ask me, like, what advice can you give to me? And And I don't want to give an empty answer like, hey, follow your dreams, which I believe follow your dreams is the correct answer. But I do sort of put a lot of emphasis on questions like, what was your first creative project like? What's your first musical memory? Because I want people to sort of see the struggle, not just like fame.
To understand the full holistic picture, the 360 view of what that
looks like. I believe that we're now hopefully exiting the cult of personality phase. I just feel like there's a lot of creatives out there that would like to know other questions besides, so who are you dating? And that sort of thing. Right. So this is a podcast about creativity.
Is there someone that hasn't been on the show that you're dying to have on?
So I have a secret bucket list, and
a secret one. Just like
there's two artists. Well, now there's one because we just did an artist, Sananda Maitreya, and he is an artist who came out and really wowed the world. They were declaring him the next Sam Cooke, and he's had a very interesting, to say the least, journey in music. So a lot of music fans will love that. So I'll say the one artist that I can't wait to get at is Sade. After that, I will have literally had intimate conversations with every artist I've ever loved. And so, yes.
Okay, also, before we let you go, I've got to ask. Tell me about game night. And more importantly, how do we get an invite?
You want an invite to game night?
Yeah, I want to come to game night.
I will gladly invite. Yeah, I think people have this thing where it's like, it's like an elitist gathering or an Illuminati gathering of A-listers. It's really not that. There's a lot of self-work that I've done in my life since the pandemic. And one of those things that, I'm a person now that's living in integrity in a lot of ways. And another way of integrity that I didn't tend to do pre-2020 was self-care in terms of like letting joy in.
Yeah.
Because I think oftentimes when people reach a plateau or a kind of a goal of theirs, and this is true for a lot of African American artists, there's a feeling of guilt. I'm doing a movie right now I just finished The Next Sly and the Family Stone documentary. That's my second movie, which deals a lot about why do we self-sabotage ourselves. And often when things happen that are good, Oscar winner, there's a lot of guilt that happens with that, And I'll be the first to let the world know that, I probably had like maybe 4 or 5 panic attacks the week after I won that Oscar.
Wow.
Because you'll be in your head about like, oh, do I deserve this? Will my friends treat me different? Will my family treat me different? So in the process of not falling down that hole of darkness, I decided I'm going to advocate for myself and bring joy. And I love playing games. So
what's the game at the top of your list? What do you?
So I mean, we're all Uno's the easiest game to play.
Yeah. And a classic. You can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that. And I think the first time I did it, showed photos on this is just at my crib, like 8, 9 people. And then one by one, it was like, I want to play. I like Scrabble too. Da-da-da-da-da. So then I invite them, and then we kind of had a turning point when a certain music god attended, and it was weird when she made an entrance into our party. It was very normalized, and I was like, wow, TS is just like us. And then I looked outside and saw like the presidential detail, like,
like what
in Brooklyn, like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, it was like Secret Service, and I was like, okay, but
it's wild.
It's I think what makes it fun is that it's an authentic level of normalcy that artists don't get, and but it happens all the time. Even like backstage at, I think when I went to the Glow in the Dark show, like, I was like, is Beyonce playing Connect 4 right now? Like, and there's things you don't think about, but like like games are how people connect to each other. So
anyone who's surprisingly really good at games,
who's really good?
Yeah, that you're really surprised by. Anyone who's like really competitive, really good.
There's an author named Brianna Wiest. She's wrote a book called The Mountain Is You. She can play Operation like no one that I know, like literally blindfolded.
It's funny, we actually just ordered that game.
Like
we have it coming in tomorrow.
And I will say that Megan Thee Stallion wants to, like when she plays Uno, she goes for blood. At one point I was like, wait, is Weird Al Yankovic about to cry right now? So it's what
an iconic sentence.
it gets very, very competitive.
Wow, I love it. Okay, well, we can't wait to go. We're all going if that's okay. We're coming over. Questlove, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on everything. We're so glad to have you part of our iHeart family. Give me it up one more time for Questlove.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out more over here, and don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. See you next time.